Bonsoir, bonsoir, hello. Just checking if the stream is working. It's been a few days since I haven't been making one. I see some friends coming on the chat. Model Guy and Jared. Hello guys, thank you very much for coming in. Just looking down on my phone to see you in the chat. Thank you guys for coming in. So tonight will be shorter videos than the one I did before. I'm actually at this moment working on just switching this. Sorry, I have the sound on my phone which would be echoing. Okay, good. So Tiger Cat 132nd kit. I'm at the moment working on the front wheel well, and piping is happening. I've been making some connectors on Fusion, and when doing the connectors I just realized that it was maybe worth talking about small parts, just small projects inside the project that can be done in Fusion 360 and printed, and above all integrated in your workflow on the bench, just like any other tool. On my previous videos or previous builds on Facebook, I've been showing some large projects such as, for instance, the nose conversion for the Tiger Cat, or for example a set of wheels, or all in all projects that can take several days or several weeks to achieve, and maybe it's not the most entertaining thing, and it's not the best thing to start with if you're considering beginning some 3D printing, and also it doesn't show all you can get out of your printer. A printer can do magics and can make some very spectacular things, such as a full nose. Just hold on a second. I see I have some prototypes over there. So just my bench behind the computer. So yes, that's one of the prototypes of a nose for my Tiger Cat, Night Fighter. You can make some interesting parts on a 3D printer, but you wouldn't start with such a large project and a complicated project, because you need to be entertained with your machine, you need to have a progression, and you need to reach some steps and some goals, and some goals you can achieve. With my page, I help several modelers via Messenger, helping them out with their projects and the early stages in Fusion. And very often people want to start with complicated projects, and actually I use Fusion on the printer since maybe a bit more than 2 years now, so I'm still on learning, but I practice some, I perform some complicated shapes now, but I also use my printer in the everyday life on the bench, and the printer is also a very precious tool for the everyday life on your bench, on your scratch modeling, or as would say my friend David Parker, he has a very good expression for that, which he says scratch printing. And for that you need just 1 hour maybe or so on the computer to make a decent part. You need only basic tools on Fusion, and that's what I want to show you tonight. For my wheel well, I have I don't know if it's air pressure or any sort of gas. I have a bottle to put in the wheel well. I don't know if we can see much, but the bottle itself is not very well molded. In the kit there was a pouring block on the part which required some sanding, and the part is decent and is usable, but we're all the same. We want to give our best, so I thought it was a good opportunity to go just and show you with basic tools. I'm going to try and use the most simple ones. I'll try to show how you could go a bit further in your project, but I really want to keep it simple tonight, and hopefully it won't take too much time to perform, and we'll also take the opportunity to go to the slicer program so that you beginners or future beginners will familiarize with the Fusion 360 environment and a slicer program. There are many of them. I use Shitubox. I'm considering switching to Shitubox Pro at the moment, or maybe Litchi, but comparing for the moment I prefer Shitubox Pro, but we'll talk about that a bit later. And so that you guys, you'll see in one video a short project, a short slicing step, and a file ready to put on USB key, and hopefully tomorrow or yes, maybe tomorrow you'll see the printed part on my Facebook page. So objective, a simple project happening on our everyday life on the bench. You're detailing a part. You need a small project inside the project. So let's get started. So I have a blank page on my Fusion. I show the origin, modeler's best friend, the calipers, a pair of calipers, and first thing I want to measure the actual footprint of my part, and maybe not drop it on the floor at the very beginning of the video. So I want to have a footprint of my part. I want it so have 16.5 millimeters from the top, from a side to another one, and the bottle itself is 13.3 millimeters, and the connection hose, valve, and we'll see what we can add on it will be the difference. So I'm going for 16.5 millimeters, and so I choose a face. So I'm really starting from blank. I did myself not to think at the project so that we can think together, and so I'll put my measure first on an axis. So now I'm trying to anticipate the positioning of my part with the origin, because I see there is some symmetries happening, so I will maybe need some mirroring, or so there might be a clever position to set my part. So let's say my bottle is 13.5, so I'll try to center my bottle on 13.5. So okay, I'm starting a sketch here. I'm going to put just a construction line just at the beginning, and 13.5. Cool thing for beginners is that you can set calculations in the measuring field. So 13.5 divided by 2, right? So I should have half a bottle on this length, right? So let's see, I have a rounded top, a cylinder, rounded top, cylinder, and another rounded top, which will get per symmetry. we try to anticipate maybe a little flattening at one side to attach our valve. So we'll get the flattening in a second attempt. So we have two solutions for that. We could either start with a cylinder and add a sphere on each side, or half a sphere on each side, or sketching a profile and revolving it around, which is my favorite option, because this way we could also decide on which curve we will be following for the rounded top, instead of just getting a dumb circle or a sphere where we couldn't control the actual slope. So let's go. We need also a diameter. Diameter is 4.75, let's say 4.8. So the radius is 4.8, 2.4. Okay, I have a radius of 2.4. So here we go, my radius. 2.4. And now I'm going to make an horizontal line, which I'm not constrained. Don't set a distance, get a spline, and I'm going to set my curve. For instance, just need a few points on the spline. And now I'm going to constrain my I want my spline to get flush with the body, and for that I'm going to hit escape, grab the handle of the last point of my spline, and if I want to finish my line flush with the body, I'm going to constrain my handle here parallel. Why not? That's a good start. I want you to be parallel with you, right? Okay, so that I'm sure whatever I do with the other points, I will be here getting a flush line, right? And now I want as well this one to be perpendicular. I think it did it already. Okay, that's a good start. We have a fusion crash, right? That's how you start a live stream. What's happening? Hopefully it arrived in the very early stage, so let's start again. Fusion 360. That's how you start a live stream. Normally it's not my laptop performance, because I just upgraded my laptop a few days ago and added some memory to it. I'm at 32 gigabytes. Yes, Jared, isn't it how you start a stream? I have a recovery file. Thank you, Fusion. Let's see. Yes, I just have my construction line. All right. So let's get back into it. Just going to go in the edit of my sketch. Have a measure. Okay. You come down. Okay. Just I'm checking with measure. Yep. So my radius, I lost my radius in the accident. 4.8. That's 2.4 millimeters. Let's get back into it. 2.4, and it's not very different from modeling on the bench. even on Fusion you need a little bit of warm-up before triggering and igniting and getting in your thing. So just need a few points, don't need that many points. A common mistake I did and still do is making splines with too much points. Don't need that many actually to make nice curves. So I want that end handle to be parallel. Okay, and now I have constrained both sides of my spline. I can play with my points. Let's see. Right, not bad. And to make try to keep it simple and really newbies oriented, so I need to make a closed sketch and to be able to perform a revolution. And you see my sketch is closed. It's been taking a blue hue. It means that my sketch is closed. I can work some extrusions out of it or some revolvings. So I'm not going any further with this sketch. We'll be able to come back into it and do some improvements because I just had an idea. So finish sketch. So if you entered my mindset, you see it's going to be half a bottle. So Fusion has been understanding that I want to use this profile. The axis is the center line, and here we go. We have a new body. I performed my my revolving on 360 degrees, and that's a parameter you could choose if you like, if you can perform. You see, in the future, if you have in mind to, sometimes it can be a solution to, if you have assembly notches or anything, making partial revolutions can be helpful. So here I'm going to full, right? Okay, and just to show where I'm going for beginners, I'll be mirroring this body. My mirror plane will be that one, or I could use as well that one, and you see a bottle will happen, right? So further detail on the bottle, I have two straps turning around my bottle. Those straps will be also some locating agents, locating plugs on the brackets which are on the roof, and I want to have better colors or better straps than those ones because they are a bit soft, and I think we could play and add some interesting features on them. So as I have half a body, I cancel the mirroring and I'll make one strap, and one mirroring I'll have my second strap, and so there would be several possibilities to make the straps. I can, for example, displace a plane along the center line and draw a circle with a larger diameter and extrude it so that a strap can appear. Or what I can do as well is come back into my sketch and revolve a strap around the same axis do you worry about how you'll print in this stage design? For example, if you print yes, Jared, I have already in mind a solution for the supports. Is so hopefully it's visible. So I have a blind side below my bottle, or upwards, because it's a roof, it's inverted. So I'll be adding a sort of block between the two straps, and this block will be helping me attaching my supports, and also holding my part with tweezers, because I have in mind to paint that bottle yellow, and maybe work some hairspray chipping, or try to bring some interest on it, because I have an overall green well. The main opening of the well is above that section. There's a very narrow opening, and leg struts, which this area will be almost blinded. So I'll be concentrated on this area of the well, and a yellow bottle, and would be a nice feature around the green mess of pipes and everything. So I want to make some painting work on this bottle. So that block will be a good way to hold my bottle, and hopefully do some interesting work on it. So a blind face is always a good way to locate some either to plug in straight the supports, or to make a bit like a pouring block, or a sacrifice part that you could sew off in a second time, or even keep as such, because invisible actually. So we want some straps. So a very simple thing will be to add a rectangle here, which is connected to the body, and from experience, at this stage I'm not constraining it. Just here it will be this bar here will be the thickness of my yes, I'll constrain it. It will be maybe more simple to explain. So as it will be revolving, the thickness, the height I'm showing will be the thickness of the detail, and the very first visible step, I'd say, when printing would be 0.1 millimeter. At 0.15 you have a good chance to either to see it and to print it decently, and I like to go above 0.25 millimeters to be sure to catch a pin wash and to have a nice and sharp edge, and I want to have a real thickness for my strap, so I'll go to 0.35, I think, millimeters. But usual steps: 0.1 millimeter first visible step, not easy to reach if your printer is not really well dialed in. 0.15 is showing up almost every time. 0.2 millimeters, the safe step. You can start to catch a good pin wash, but you won't have too much of thickness impression on your part. But to differentiate a detail, 0.2 millimeters is a safe step. 0.15 is more going into finesse work, but and 35 you can really give the impression of a different part around the body. And I finished my sketch, and I am going to make a second revolution. I could come back on the first revolution and revolve it with all together. I'm going just to, for example, to show you, I add in the profile the sketch we did, the rectangle we did. Intentionally, I didn't constrain this length so that I can pull here we go, and increase my thickness just per eyeballing, because I don't have any blueprint of this bottle, so eyeballing will be part of the job, actually. And what do we have next? I have an important feature to keep in mind, yes, which I forgot, is the location of the strap, because I have my locating bed on the part 3.3, just checking this. How much do I have? I'm just taking a measure to be sure I fit in my little bed on the part. Measure from here. Nope. Sorry. Yep. I'm going to do it this way. I just want to check a measure. 3.5, spot on. I'm good. I'll be fitting. Okay. So I could have made, as I said, the revolution in one step, but I'm going to make it in 2 steps, and so I remove it. Single step. I've been touching something here. Okay. You see here, little. I don't have. I have a little mistake in my sketch. The rectangle I did wasn't. I thought it was snapped on the body, so I'm just up so that I have. Yep. Okay, I have one sketch, one profile, another profile. Good. So I want a separate body for my strap. Because I'm going to add a few features on the strap and a tightening clamp, or those screws that pull on the strap and tighten them, and I don't want them to be perfectly aligned. Perfectly aligned parts are too honest to be good, so I'll make one strap with its tightening thing and details, and the mirrored one will be mirrored as another body, so that I can rotate it a little bit and give an asymmetry and give a more natural body. And it won't be anything difficult. Band clamp. Yes, thank you. I'm improving my English, thanks you, friends. So profile, axis. There. Nope. You've seen my mistake. I did the join, and I now want a new body. Okay. Here we go. So checking my bodies. Body 1 is bottle. Body 2 the strap. Right? So our strap is 0.3 millimeters high. I'm saying that because I'm also thinking I need to keep thinking, and thank you. As long as you progress, keep in mind you're not modeling the real part. You're modeling a model part, and you want to keep connected with real measures and what will be printable and what will be paintable. You can make superb drawings, but if your details are too fine, they won't show up, and if your details are too fine, you won't be able to paint them with a good paint separation. I like to have decent grooves to catch my pin washes. I want to have sharp edges to make nice paint separation. At this stage, you're already I am already preparing my paint stage, and my advice would be for you to do the same, and hopefully this will make sense shortly. So let's say we want to add a screw on top, so I'm going to set a plane here. I'm going just to make to go as simple as possible. I'm going to make sort of cylinder. I'm going see 0.5 millimeters. That's going to be small. We are not at this stage designing a real mechanism. We are making we are schematizing. We are making a suggestion, and we keep in mind we're on a small part in a almost blank area. We are just trying to suggest something happening. So I'm going to make a larger one. Let's see, and I'm going 0.8, and why not, in case I'm not sure, I'll use that sketch polygon. We'll see if it can make sense. A polygon or a 6 face head, so is always a good way to separate a body from a cylinder, from a screw, to give a sort of bolt head. It's to give some variation and to as well suggest there is a mechanism for tightening, or it could be a Phillips head, or it could a hex head is a quite visual thing, and it's more easy to show up this sort of head rather than a screwdriver head. So we'll see if we use it. So I start with that one. I'm going to make a join. You see, right? We're going to use let's say the larger profile. I want my hex head. Yes, I'm going to take this one up, right? Taking up this one, and looking 0.3 millimeters is a decent height. Join. Just checking because I have a join. Making sure. Yes, there's a mistake. You see, as my profile is touching the other body, when I made a join, everything has been melted together. So I'm just checking here what happened. I'm going to just hide my bottle so that okay, just deleting this, and I start without my bottle so that I don't perform any merging of bodies or cuts or anything. Oh, I'm starting back, so 0.345. So I'm taking half a mil. Yep, and for this one I'm going to put it at 0.25 so that I have a decent thickness here. I'm giving them as much thickness so that I have a clean separation for the print and also a clean separation for my pin washes. And now, and this is a particular this is a particular detail I want to replicate and on the other side of the bottle, but also to displace around the center line so that I have my asymmetry. That's why, if now it makes more sense, that's why I'm making my strap and bolt on the separate body. And we could have fun with, let's say, adding a little visual detail. I'm going to create a sketch here. I'm going to project I'm going to project this face so that I get its geometry. Yep, I have my two lines. I want to make just I don't want the other sketches. Right, so you see I'm snapping the center here, there's a little bit of that's something that happens sometimes with projections, you get a little bit off. I'm thinking of my next steps. Yes, I'll keep it simple. Right, I finish the sketch, and this little line I want to project it on the ring here, and for that I need to create another sketch. Projections are a little bit unintuitive on Fusion, and you need to you have a said line to project on the face. You need to create a projection on a new sketch. You can't contain both the origin and the projected line on the same sketch. It's a habit to take. I don't know the reason, and it's not very intuitive, I'd say. So I want to project to surface. I project on my face here. Which curve? The curve I just drew, and along a vector, which is my blue line here, and you see the projection appears. I'm good. And now I have this line. I'm going to make a groove along this line, and I want after to make a pattern of grooves all around my ring. And for this I want to introduce you to a cool feature in Fusion. It's a cool feature because handy, and also it's a first step in the learning of another function which is a sweep. So the pipe is actually just making a pipe along a path, which is a line we did, and I'm going to, you can on the pipe you can choose a circular, a square, or a triangular one, and actually it's not more than a sweep of the said section of a square, of a triangle or a circle. It's actually just a sweep where the profile has been already done by Fusion, and it's a good way, I think, to start with it and to start thinking for future projects. Where will be my path? Where will be my profile to sweep? And where should I locate my profile at the beginning of the sweep? So it's a good way to have a few trials with a pipe tool, and then go much further and much more disciplined or much more clean with the sweep tool. But starting with a pipe is quite handy, and you get quick result with it. And using the pipe tool as a scribing thing, you see that I have a section of 0.2 millimeters in height, but I have only half a section actually cutting through my flesh. So maybe I'll be pushing it a bit, because I'll have I don't want something wider than 0.2 millimeters, but I might not be deep enough. So I did my cut, and with a press pull I'm going to see if I couldn't hide a little bit more. Yep, I'm going just so it's about 0.15 millimeters deep now. And once I have done that cut, I'm going to use another very useful tool in Fusion, is a pattern tool. Pattern tool, I have a rectangular pattern, which is let's say, first example which comes into my mind is the pattern you want for dials on in a cockpit, to make a layout of dials on blankets or on a panel board, a breaker panel, for example. With rectangular pattern, you just need to design one breaker, and then you multiply them on the horizontal and then in the vertical, and boom, done. It's a really effective tool in Fusion. And the circular pattern, here you'll see I could pattern a bolt, but also I can pattern a function or something I did, and that's what I'm going to do. I can choose to pattern the pipe cut and the push-pull I did, but I could also decide to, because at this stage they are simple, I can decide to make a pattern of the faces I've created. You have the choice. Sometimes in the circular pattern, some functions create some bugs. For example, the fillet functions can create problems in the circular pattern. So when they're simple, just picking the faces is a safe way to make a circular pattern. So I chose my axis, which is the center line. Yep, and here I'm hitting the little key suppress, and you see I have some tick boxes which appeared. I can decide not to show a few of the repeated faces, and I'm going to multiply them. Let's say let's start with 20, not enough, 30, could be more, 40, and I have something which looks quite regular, and I'm going to, that's why I hit suppress, I'm going just not to have any face issue or hole in my print. I'm not sure, just to be sure not to have any problem. And here we go. Have a little cut here. I could remove one more maybe, or I might have created a separate bolt. Let's see. Now I'm cutting through my bolt here too, so what? Suppress. Up. Okay, and I'm going to, where's my bolt? Which a cool thing is to keep the history line, and so here, moving backwards, I'm going to edit U and create a new body. Going there, create new body. In there, a new body, or could have kept the join and hidden the ring, not to get them all together. I'm making my bolt by a join. Where's my bolt? I hide the bolt. I'm going there. Right, and now I have my ring. I can add my bolt after the cut. No harm. I don't need to and maybe I'd like to have a plane. I'm going to show up my sketch. The idea was, which side was it? The idea, I don't like the fact that my groove is going from a side to another. I'm looking, where's my sketch? Here you are. So I'm going back to my sketch here, and I have my body. I'm going to edit my sketch, and I'm going to look for the center here. I just draw a construction line here. Why is this construction line in the middle? It's a good way to work a symmetry, because so that I put an edge here, looking to snap 90 degrees, right? Have a profile, and then mirror on this line up, so that I have on both sides. And if later on I decide to pull my sketch just by eyeball my width, I'll keep my symmetry working, and I don't need, or the other possibilities would be to use the constraint tool with the equal here, and constrain this side equal to this side inside. But in both methods, it's a good way to keep your sketch manageable, and by further modifications to keep a tool of symmetry at work. And so I'm going to select, so it's for in Revolve, sorry, in Revolve I'm selecting U and U. I switch on the body again, axis the center line. I want a join, and much better. That's what I was looking for. And I have now grooves that will be hopefully happy to catch some pin washes. And I was looking for my words, because we're all the same, but not for tonight. We could also add some lines to give the impression it's a screw. But I said simple, we keep it simple. And I again did a mistake, because I have one body in the end, which is not what I wanted. So I hide my bottle, and now it keeps in memory and it joins things together. So just delete. Going to make it simple. Thing is to keep in mind, it's a mistake I still often do is when you perform a function like here my compressor, a revolve or a pattern with a join. If you have a separate body showing and touched in the operation, it will be assembled and melted in the hole. So I'll perform my revolve again with only my ring axis U, and it's a join. And now that I don't have my bottle, I'll keep it separate. Right. Now I will combine U2. See, another simple tool, very useful, mirror tool, bodies. I select new bodies. I don't make a join because I want my rings to be still separate ones. If I select a plane, I could either select the face if I would be somewhere in the construction space, or this plane. It's the same because I just located it in purpose. And here we go. We have the bottle. We have our bottle. Why do I have? What does he say? Compute fail. Yes, seems to work though. Let's see. I have 3 bodies. Edit feature. I'm going to pick U and see what happens instead. It's maybe because earlier, if you remember, I had something happening with my projection. Maybe that, not too sure. So I have 4 bodies, and now because we like to give some natural aspects to our drawings, I pick this body, move type. So I'm just making sure here that I'm well centered. Sometimes Fusion will help you and find the natural center of your part, or sometimes if you have difficulties you might go in the move type and go for only translate or only rotate instead of the free move, which give you all the function all together. Now it seems to have worked quite decently, so I'm just going to turn that guy a little bit to be visible from the same point of view in my wheel, but not lined up, to give a little touch of natural, because that's one of the main difficulties. You'll see earlier, talking to a beginner still earlier in your progression, any opportunity to give an asymmetry or a touch of natural will help you not to have too much artificial part. You like some buttons to be switched or turned in different ways, or sometimes all of them pushed in a way and maybe the last one just up, or in just some hints of natural or accident in your patterns will just make a natural touch. And now we should be fine. I'm going to merge everything. There we go. We have one bottle, and now we are going to work. On one of both ends. We're going to work the connection line, maybe a gauge or a button or something. We'll see. And I'm going to, so if you have a view, I'm not sure the laptop camera will show you, I have a little pipe there. Normally I'll be adding some LED wire in there. I have some 0.28 or 25, I'm not sure, LED wire, some 0.3, so we see what we use. I first want a flat plane on top of my bottle, so I'm going just to make an offset plane here. Offset plane is something you'll be using quite often. An offset plane here, right? I'm going to make a sketch and just a circle which I'm centering on the origin. That's why it was good at the beginning to start on the centered on the origin. Just want to make the start of our assembly, and so I'm going to extrude a cut on top here. Making this maybe a little bit wider, not bad. I'm going to add a fillet. And now we can start and build up some details starting from here. I'm thinking loud. I want my LED wire to fit somewhere inside, so that might be a good idea to add on this sketch a circle of 0.4 millimeters, which is 0.3 for my LED wire plus 0.1 for tolerance, so that I can fit my wire in there. So I'm going to 0.4. I have some room. I'm going to make 0.5 so that I can even work a bit thicker wire, or even a 0.3 would fit, but I have the choice. You see, 0.5, I have some decent room around to build up my hoses, so let's start from there. So how far am I? Now I'm going to start with sketch that I'm going to make here. I'm going to make a polygon. I'm trying not. I see my bolts on the left on my screen. I'm trying not to line up my polygon faces, just to try and look accidental. I'm going to make a circle here, and we'll see where we go next. So on the base of an assembly, I can imagine a circular plate on top of which I have a large nut, for instance. Now it's time to see. I'm going to go back to my sketch here. I'm thinking now at my overall dimension, because I'm building up the last tip of my hose. I need 16.3 millimeters. I'm going to the very beginning of this sketch. Let's see, what can how could I do? I'm going to edit the sketch just so that I have a view in the background. I said 16.3, I think. 16.5, a better measure. 16.5, right. And now See, I know that I can move up till there so that I have a reference, right? So, what do we have next? Let's make it could be a good way to add a gauge. So if I want to add a gauge with an individual decal, I want to gather my visible touches on the same point of view, to be reachable by the same point of view. It wouldn't be a good idea, for instance, to make the gauge on this side somewhere here, and as I have my bolts here visible on the opposite, because it's going to sit on the roof of my wheel well. I want to gather my details on the same side, so I'm going to make my life easier, and yes, somewhere here. So I'm going to create a sketch on this plane, and I'm trying to use the most simple tools that I can. I'm just going to make a line here. You see in a second where I'm going to. Remember what we used before? Pipe, circular. We have a tube now. Let's see. I'm 0.5 millimeters. I'm going to go safe 0.7, 0.8. Yes, 0.8. Okay. So I have now. Come on. Just this part will be the root, the attachment of my gauge, and I'm going to finish up the horizontal line now. I'm just going to hide you a second. Let's say I'm going to use a smaller. I'm going to use a circle right here. I'm going to move, for instance, till there. I'm going to join. Was my gauge. Yeah, not bad. Here. Now I have a separation just to make it a little bit more visual. Where are you? You. I want another bolt. Polygon. I'm trying. See, I'm looking at the other one behind. I'm just trying to find something natural and not aligned. Yep, not bad. Extrusion. Let's go up. Okay. And this detail. Finishing. Loop. Yep. And can I fetch this point? Nope. Right. Okay. Not too bad. See, I don't have much reference other than this part, so I'm just looking to break the cylinder contour. Bolts for that interesting details. They can catch pin washes, dry brushes if you like, or they just make an interesting variation. You see, you don't want something too regular, and make sure you look for a bit different sizes, different alignments. You want something accidental to happen. So I'm forcing myself not to go too regular in shape, too regular in size. You want to build up something. When you don't have much clue, you want to build up something natural and a bit random. And there, as a finishing pipe again, and you see with a pipe you can give a finishing touch with a join and give some again something to be catched by your your pin washes. And before I forget, because I'm very good at forgetting stuff, I'm going to pierce my hole as a cut, taking two sides because I don't know where I am. And now, you see, remember I did this circle for my lead wire, and now I'm making this extrusion so that I'll be able to insert my wire inside. And yeah, not bad. And now let's make a gauge over there. Do I have enough room? I'm going to give it a bit more of height. So I'm checking my face here. I'm going to extrude it. It was a pipe, so a pipe is along a path. So I used all the paths. So I could either now extrude this face, or I should go into this. If I want to modify my pipe tool, I should go into the sketch, extend my path, and normally it would modify and extend my my cylinder here. So I'm just going for the extrusion. I'm going simple there. And now we want a gauge. Let's make a circle. You see, when Fusion recognizes a circle, when you hop inside a circle, when you hit the center, you feel a snap and have a circle showing up. And now I'm making that guy. Finish my sketch. I'm going to take a measure. I forgot. I radius 0.75. I'm going to, yes, it's good. Trying to remember what I have as a, because I'll be using a decal from my friend Tomanis. Normally I should be fine with this side. I'm pulling you up. So I have my gauge. I want to give it a little bit of depth. So I'm going to, yes, I'm just going quick and simple. Another circle, a contour. I have 1.2 millimeter. Select you and push you back to give some depth. And fillet. Nope. Yep. And here we have a gauge. And find have too much of a blank face here. I'd like to add maybe a little, just a thin nut over there to finish my contour. Polygon. Up. Let's go. Up. Just to give it a more natural look of connector. Nope, not more than this, because I've been pushing a bit away. I have some room over there, so it won't be an issue going a bit further than initially expected. No worries. Okay, so we have our body. What time is it? We have a little bit of time, maybe. No, we're good. I was thinking of maybe a closing handle, but no. We'll keep. Said we make a simple project. Let's keep it simple so that we'll have time for a few more talks about the slicer program. And now, slicer program. So keep in mind we're making a part which is due to be printed. I'm going to remove the sketches we don't need anymore. We need to have a strategy for printing, and if you're here from the very beginning, you heard me talk about it with my friend Jared from Bone Fragment. So my strategy will be to use the blind face of the bottle on my assembly. So if you join a bit later on, that's the wheel well roof, the bottle, and it will be sitting on the two brackets here, which sort of bed on the room. So I have a blind face down under, and there I'm going to attach a little block where I'll be able to connect my most of my supports. Maybe one or two will be attached to the dome of the very part, but not many of them. And this block will be also helpful to hold my part while painting it. So let's go. Let's do this block. I'm going to make an offset plane because I like to work on offset planes because I need to keep the impression I'm working with actual paper sheets. So I'm working on a sheet under my bottle now, and I want a rectangle. I'm going to be using my origin, and let's say this rectangle should be enough there. A good idea was to be centered at the origin at the beginning, because now I'm going just to extend my rectangle a bit. Here should be fine. I'm considering whether I should hit or not the straps, or no factor. No factor. I'm going to go safe. And now I'm going to use mirroring to extend my rectangle and my block, and I'm going to make another mirroring. It's a function I use a lot. You'll see you probably do the same as long as you go further in your modeling. You see, so I have my block down under, finish my sketch, and now I'm going to extrude that guy. So I'm going to start. So you could start from an offset area. I don't find the offset very easy to locate. I'm actually going to make it in 2 steps, but more simple. It's just in a mindset. I'm going to start from my profile plane, and extend. You could go to the object. When the shape is complicating, you can have computing issues. Here I'm just going to go through the object, make sure I'm making a join. See? Okay, and I'm going to reselect my plane and push it. find it this way much simpler than working the offset start of the profile. I find it just much more simple this way. And here we go. We have a little block here, so that we'll be able to attach some decent supports. Probably I need a support or two just right here to support, and so we'll see very shortly, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy with my bottle. This block will be setting it below my brackets. Maybe I'll need to cut a center line into my brackets. No big deal. Or I'll keep it as such. And seen from above, it's now I think it's narrow enough. Yep. Just have a little doubt. No, I'm going to reduce it in size a bit. Up. I'm going to keep it just this way, so that I'm not jamming too much on my locating bed on the roof, and I'll attach some support straight onto the strap, and no worries. Yeah, I'll be safer this way. So, something I always forget to do. There's an autosave in Fusion, but don't be like me. Save more quickly, more often. Tire cat will bottle. I'm going to give that guy a name. Bottle. And now we want to go to the printing program, so I right click here, save as mesh. Just let Fusion do his thing. Just make sure I have an STL, millimeter, everything's fine normally. And here we go, I can save my STL in my mess of folders. Front fuselage, I'm going to put it in this folder, and see, it's working here. Let's see now. I'm going just to check in my folder if everything is good. Well, bottle. I have a bottle. Good news. It worked. Right. So now, for you guys, if you consider going into printing, not Sheet2Box Pro. That's a trial version of Sheet2Box Pro, which is over now. As I said at the beginning of the video, I might... You want to continue? No. I want Sheet2Box. I might go and buy a Sheet2Box Pro. I'm not too sure yet. I'm still considering. I like its feature. I like the fact that it's an evolution from a software I know since 2 years, so I'm familiar with it. But also Litchi is a bit cheaper, has nice features too. So I'm not too sure yet. Meanwhile, I'm still using Sheet2Box regular, which now opens with the last file I did, which was a row of connectors. So let's erase it. So when you have set your slicer program, sorry, getting thirsty, should have taken something more elegant than this, but I'm sorry guys. It's ugly, I hate water. So this right here is my build plate. It simulates the printer's plate usable area, and I'm going to open the folder, look for the part we did. It was in my mess bottle. This right here is not a dildo, it's a tiger cat nose. So, well, bottle, and here is our bottle. So, first thing first, we did a little block here to be able to set some of our supports, and we need to orientate it towards the plate. So there is a rotate tool, you see, with different handles, and so I'm going to rotate along the red circle, and I'm going to use 45 degrees. Towards the other one, of course. Up. Now it sits horizontal, and now that's where you are going to enter a new world with printing, is how to orientate your parts. There are different strategies, there are different ways of thinking. There is not a strategy, in my opinion, that will always work. On this, each part is different. Each part is different, but you have different tools, different drawers to look in. First strategy, which looks logical, will be to sit horizontally. Another one would be maybe logical to go in the vertical, but not with the support we did. It could, but I'm going to remove the handle. This is a plate here around where the part is sitting, and the part will be on supports. I'm going to put some randomly. Yes, sheet box sees only one support. So at the beginning of the print, the first layers will be straight on the plate, and as long as the print will go on, the layers will be going each one above another, and the process will be going from the plate to the top of the part in this direction. So the build lines will be parallel to the plate, you see, and printing vertically, you would risk having horizontal lines, and the other risk we'll have on such a plate will be, especially where you have some domes or spheres, will be some artifacts. So if we decide to set our plate back on the horizontal position, yes, I want to remove the support. You see, now my build lines will be horizontal. Here they'd be much more visible. But as my part will be created from the plate to the top of the screen, I'm in a good position here to have a progression from my gauge. You want, when you think at your printing, when you're thinking at your printing strategy, you want to have a picture in mind of how your part will be building up, and you want something continuous. And for instance, here I would absolutely need some supporting, because this area would start in an empty space, and we'd call it, in printing, it would be called an island. and you don't want an island in your print, because that would be a little chunk of resin which, because not being supported, which would remain stuck on your FEP film, on your inside your vat container, and you'd have a buildup of resin on your FEP, and anything after going upwards would end up in a not being printed on or being melty or damaged or not going good. So you want to have an idea of where are your islands when you see a part, and here on the progression I'd be fine. Here the gauge, you see there's a cut in the profile, but this part of the gauge would act as a support for the gauge, so would be fine. So it's a strategy we could try. So I'm going to just replicate the part, because also you won't be using much resin for a single part, so it's always good for the self-learning to print different strategies, so that you can figure out if you were right or not. You can expose yourself to happy accidents, or to just realize you're going wrong because another strategy was better than you expected. So it's, and in the end you end up with a mule part for your testings, and you never make, in my opinion, you never make a mistake trying 2 or 3 strategies for small parts. If you have place on your print bed, go ahead, try a few ones, and it's always a good learning to compare, to see if you were right, to see if you are. It's always a good idea, honestly. So I'm going just to support this one horizontally. That's not my favorite position, so I'm going to add my supports just to see. I'm going auto supports to see what Shittybox proposition, and I'm going to set a little bit better my support here. I'm removing this one. Where is this? Where is he going? Yes, I'm going to. Those one down under, just perfect. They're fine. I'm going just try to. I'm on medium supports. If you want to see my settings, it's moment to hit the screen capture or screen pick. That's main settings I use. I almost never change them. That's my raft. It's raft area here. Is the raft is the bed here. I use this setting with a skate with a ratio of the footprint, and that's maybe the only setting I happen to dial according to my parts. Sometimes 120% isn't enough. Sometimes extend them. You want a nice chunk of resin to be. If you go for a too small raft, you might have some adhesion issues on the burning layers on first stages. So go for a decent raft. Afterwards, it's always good to have a good raft to handle with your hands to pick your parts. So yes, for this part, 120 is fine. And so I'm going to pick a support. I'm hesitating here between using a medium or a light support. I'm going to use a medium one. I'll be printing this part at 0.2 millimeters. I think it will be more than enough. At point 2, my light supports are not very catchy. I have a little bit of issue with them. I more often use light supports on very fine areas on a 0. At 10 micron sprint. So here, see, I'm just here touching this line, so I'll be sure I'll be catching them. No worries. I'm not going too far ahead of the part. I'm making sure I put my support and do not extend such a position where it would be visible. You see? And here I'm going to add another 1, 2, and 3. You don't want to be afraid to add a few supports. And this position is not my favorite one, as I'm thinking for my bottle. Also, because I'm going to try and illustrate. You see this handle? It will be all my layers, and you see that surface here will be a layer, and as you move up a layer, you add layers and so on, and you see it's quite a good surface, and putting an angle could be a solution to reduce this surface. And also, what happened? Okay. Always happy to have a crash of Shittybox. Yeah, receiver, automatic. Automatic backup worked. Maybe not totally. It's one of the reasons I'm not sure I'm keeping Shittybox. The crashes of Shittybox. It happens on very heavy files. I wouldn't have thought it happened on such a simple file. Actually, it's the first time I see that happen. I had some yes, so I'm going back to my supports. If you guys follow my page since a few months or so, maybe remember my Seahawk seats, which were quite heavy in pixel, megaoctets, and etc. And they caused me quite a few crashes on the Shittybox because heavy. Should be fine. I'm going to add another one here. Okay, so now it should be good. Those supports are maybe that particular one which I'm showing, and that particular one I think I could not use them, but they are on the blind area. I'm not taking a risk, I'm keeping them as such. The attachment, I'll be disciplined when detaching, and yes, they won't be visible. So here's for hope you guys feel my pain. What's been happening? Yes, there must be something wrong with my file. My bottle. I'm going to reselect my supports. I'm going quickly to make a new file with a new Shittybox file because yeah, something is wrong with it. I don't know what bug is happening. I'm going to start a new project and see if this happens again. Open file. Strange. because a crash can happen when it's several times the same series of crash. Something wrong with my file. So front fuselage, wheel bottle. Okay. Let's see. Rotating back into position. Right. So I remove this and this supports, and then putting it back right here, right? A few ones here. I block, and here we go. So let's cross fingers. Yes. Something must have been corrupted on the other one. Let's put another bottle and try another strategy. I should have duplicated it just a step before. I'm going to try just up. Touched okay. So the other strategy I have in mind is starting from the flatbed position. Is going to tilt my part up with the gauge upwards. I'm just pulling the green. See, by doing this, I want to keep an image of my gauge going from the flatbed to the top. Should be good. There are some key values you want to keep in mind, which would be 10 degrees, for example. 10 degrees on an axis, 10 degrees on the other one, and this one is probably not important around the Z, but a tenor of degrees on X and Y is often a good way to kill the horizontal lines and to concentrate the artifacts on the domes. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it does some good work. Even on square plates, if there are some artifacts which appear on let's say a flat position or straight position, a tenor of degrees on X and Y is sometimes a good tool to get rid of many artifacts, or sometimes just to concentrate them on a particular area which will be easier to treat. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. It's something to try. And CFE, yes, 30 degrees is the other one I have in mind. There are 10 degrees, then the 30 degrees and the 45 degrees. Those are the main values I have the habit to test. 30 degrees on the Sonic Mini 4K, 30 degrees, this value comes from the arctangent calculation, which it works for, let's say, its demonstration is based on printing a dice and getting the best result on all the faces. And I'm not very good at geometry, but they make the demonstration that with their formula applied to the values of 0.2 millimeters, because it also depends on the layer height. At 0.2 millimeters, 30 degrees works very well, but for something which has a flat, which has faces oriented on a dice, by doing such, you pull all the advantages on the faces of your part, which would be parallel to a dice face. I don't. It's hard to explain on not a native language. You put all the advantage on some areas of your part, and if it's a part of a strategy you're doing, you have to get prepared ahead in your design, and let's say prepare a place where you'll be adding your support, so that at a certain point you have a face you'll be giving all your advantage to, and that particular face will be at 30 degrees orientation. It does work. On wheels, it can work as well, because let's say both on faces of a wheel, you could set a wheel on a cage, and the sides of the wheel, you could put all the advantage of the strategy on the sides and gather. That's what I did on the Tiger Cat. You gather your artifacts on the corners of your tire tread. It works, but it won't. If it's a bit of a random part, it doesn't necessarily make sense. You have to have a part with a particular set of orientations. For example, I'm just looking for my wheel. For instance, I have a tire which I printed. You can imagine this face. Each side of the tire would be a face of the dice, and because you have some details you want to, where you want the highest quality, you can decide that's the face I want to emphasize, where I want to have the better quality. So that's I'll take this face as a dice face, and if doing such, I'm putting some artifacts on other place. Decide it. And for instance, when I did those wheels, I knew that when tilting my wheels, I put my artifacts on the corners of my tire. So the 30 degrees orientation is good. It depends on your layer height, and you have to keep in mind it doesn't work on all parts, and it's a tool like another. It's not 100% rule. It's quite difficult to explain. The 45 degrees is also a good orientation, not because of the X and Y projection of pixels, but more thinking in a projection, and to reduce the surface of your layers. It's also you want to think of the digital projection of the purely artifact aspect of your print, and you also want to keep in mind that you want to minimize this surface if possible. The smaller the surface is, the less effort you'll have on your FEP, the less effort you'll have on your part, which, even though it's supported, the resin is cured, but not totally, so you have some effort. You can have very tiny displacements, and so the less the surface, the less the effort, the best the quality will be. It's there are artifacts artifacts on the side, and mechanical efforts on the other side. That's why tilting is an as good strategy as just going simply vertical, horizontal. It really depends. I'd love to give strategies that work in 100% of the cases. I still learn. I still have surprises sometimes. Sometimes I expect some artifacts to be gathered in an area and total fail. They are somewhere else. So really try again. Give yourself the chance to make some happy accidents, some good discovers. So far in my 2 years of, maybe more, a bit more now, 2 years of experience in printing is still a short experience. I'm still learning. That's why I keep on printing several parts and several strategies. Now I'm looking at this one. So I have 15 degrees. And I'm going to make a 30 degrees one. 45, I don't think it will be relevant or necessary. Rotate. No, I need to bring it apart. Up, rotate it. So I want to move up by 30 degrees. One thing I'd love would be that Sheet2Box would let us type some text on the raft, so that, because difficult thing afterwards is to remember which were the orientation settings. And, so I want 30. Do I need 30 degrees on the X? Not necessarily, because it's nope, because it's symmetric, it wouldn't make sense. So I just, and you know, and nope, you up, and see, I have a little island here. That's why you want to have a look on the Sheet2Box. When there is that little, Sheet2Box wants you to put a support here. So sometimes it's not necessary. Sometimes when you have a very tiny space, you know that your little chunk of resin will be pulled. But here I do need a small support. And here as well. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to put a light support. That's not sure I'm having a good idea here. And if I have to put a support, nope. I'm going to change a little bit my orientation and rotate it 30 degrees, so that now I should be able, see, to reach my gauge. So here, good. Also, you want to make sure that your support are not going too close from the surface. Sheet2Box usually makes its way, but sometimes it happens to go very close to the surface, and you can have some support joining into the direct flesh of your part. I'm going to see if I can just adjust a bit position here. So you see, again, this position would be better, I think, artifact wise, and building lines wise, but I now need a support on my gauge. So is it relevant or not? Not that much. You see, so it's never the same. A solution could be at this point to make a test print, see how my bodies come out, and if this 30 degrees orientation gives the best results, then it would be maybe a good idea to cut the top of my bottle as a separate part, print it separately, and assemble it after the print, so that I can have the best body as possible if the orientation is good, and then make my my connector and gauge with a better supporting solution. So you see, a strategy is not valid for any part you make, and when performing your supporting, you can discover some issues such as this gauge, which can make you go to the test print, and even now I have in mind that for the final print I might have to modify my part because of the supporting strategy and this gauge which is a little bit annoying me at the moment. And so I have a regular position, 15 degrees, 30 degrees, and the 45 degrees wouldn't be any help, I think. So I'm going to, you know what, I always like to have spares. Spares are always useful. When I make spares and different orientation, you see I'm joining my rafts all together so that I happen to have a better adhesion on larger rafts, so that helps being more organized when curing, so that you keep all the same parts all together. And also for the print, for the small parts, you like a larger raft, so I'm taking an advantage and I'm putting them together as such. Up. And we're almost good. You see. And now for the people who come into printing, I'm now reaching the final stage, the settings. So that's a test print. I'm going to check my Craftsman Gray 0.02 millimeters. So you can have lots of settings. All those are imported from Shitubox. When you select your printer, they suggest you many different brands of resin or anything. I happen to use mainly 3 settings. I set another one in Shitubox Pro Trial for 0.05 millimeters, but 1, 2, 3 and 50 microns, it's more than enough. You don't need that much settings. Resolution, size and anything is something Shitubox or any other slicer knows. They just want you to tell which printer you use, and they'll import some presets. Print, and that's where you set your layer height. How you have a different setting for your bottom layers, which are also called the burn layers. So there are the first layers that stick on the plate, and you want to make sure for adhesion that those ones are well stuck, so they are exposed on a longer time, and they have a separate setting, and layers on top will have a softer set, a shorter exposure to have a much more delicate rendering. A high exposure gives a good adhesion, but it also expands the resin, and it will be less good for details. Details will look a bit more gummy and will lose a lot of their sharpness. So there's a bottom exposure setting for your adhesion, and then the proper exposure setting for your details. And at point 2, I happen on my printer to Anycubics Craftsman Gray be exposed at 1.9 seconds, for instance. So those are some settings that I share on demand, of course, but they depend on your printer, because each printer brand has some UV light intensity, UV light systems. From a brand, of printer to another, they might not work. Even sometimes from a particular printer from another on the same type, they don't perform the same. Sometimes from a bottle of resin to another, they could be changed for a few tenths of a second. So it just gives an idea, but you won't skip your personal dialing of your settings. There are some files to do it, little finds of a plate with tons of small details, or sometimes it's a little city with different buildings and recesses, raised details, recessed details, and you need to perform a print with a different exposure and go step by step and really dial which exposure performs the best on your printer in your printing conditions, with temperature, your particular printer and how it performs, and yes, temperature, altitude, I suppose not, but you at some point you need to make your dialing of your printer. You won't skip it. It's the best way to take the best result of your printer. So once your settings are good to go, keep them preciously in your parameters, and normally your printing becomes a straightforward thing. I have my settings which are on this quite safe now. I almost never touch them, and I've taken a little bit of time to explain my strategy, but it doesn't take really long now. And I now go to hit, and I go and hit slice, and what the program has been doing, it has been performing a cut of 20 microns thickness, and our STLs has become a pile of slices of 20 microns, and you can see as I move up on the black screen, this will be layer after layer, the different exposures done by the machine, you see, and that's what's contained in the file that now I'm going to save. I'm going to put it on my desktop, and that's the file I'm going to put on my USB key, which will be plugged in my machine, and we're done. So the file is now ready to print, and you've seen from the very beginning to the end that the process of sending an STL, a scratch printed part, as would say David Parker, that's the whole process from zero to the printer. And when all your settings are done, are fluent, everything is when your workflow is smooth, it really gets not more complicated than this. You just need at the very beginning to take the mindset and I work very visually in my thinking to see how your plate will be, how your part will be printing layer after layer, starting from your plate and going to top of the plate, and as the plate is under, the plate will be up and the part will be growing downwards from the plate to the bottom. And you want to avoid those famous islands. You want to, it takes a few prints to get a catch and make your eyes ready to pick up where would be the islands and where you need to add support. And for that, there's not much more, there's not better things that trying and experience and going with simple parts, simple projects, so that you can perform a lot of them and not spend, if you spend too much time on a large part, you won't be printing during this time. If you make simple parts for your project, you'll be enjoying them quickly, you'll be working also your workflow. You'll be able maybe to perform a print a day, and the more you print you'll perform, the more you'll get used to the workflow, and you'll be able to bring complexity after. And working little parts as such helps you go to the printer more often and build up your experience. And what I found difficult was to get the part progression on the plate and to see where will be the problem, where you might need to change your strategy or chop your part. For instance, I'm thinking at the gauge here, and chop your part, and for the final print choose a different strategy. You see, I'm looking at the question. Craftsman Grey, yes, Oliver, Craftsman Grey is my favorite resin on my Sonic Mini, a very small step ahead of the Frozen Aqua 4K, but a very small step ahead. The Aqua 4K is also very good resin. I still have some and I will use it. I did some busts for my kids with it. It really performs well. I had a bit more issues on difficulties to set my adhesion on my burn layers with the Aqua 4K, and on the very top edge of sharpness on my test on there's the Amara Labs file with the little town and buildings. My tests were again a very short step ahead with the Craftsman Grey, but still the Aqua 4K is a very good one. If you have better prices or better access on the Aqua 4K, you're not going wrong. It's also a very good resin. I find it better if I heat the resin and build plate. Jared, yes, I agree. I've had some discussions with I have some friends who don't agree with me. It's still a honestly, I think so. I think that temperature is an important factor on the resin. At the beginning, my printer was in my cave in a quite fresh temperature. It was at about 16 degrees, and I had issues at the beginning, especially for the burn layers, adhesion on the plate. And I have a guest bathroom that I can use now, and which is much warmer, and it really solved many issues on the plate adhesion. I have almost never a fail on adhesion on a plate since I'm on this warmer place. It's about 20-21 degrees Celsius, and it made a real difference on my print, and since that. Most of my fails at the beginning when a printer was in my cave was really not during the print. It was really on the raft adhesion, and even though I tried to go quite far in my burn layers and quite far in exposure. I kept on having problems, and now it's all gone. My prints are, I'm a lucky guy now. My prints are smooth, fluent. I barely have fails now. And Jared, the room settings, nope. I heard of it. Maybe it's me. I usually set. I'm a night owl, you know. I usually set my prints very late in the night, go off to bed to sleep, and I don't look for speed, and I don't know if it's good for the machine. I have settings with the machine which goes quite smoothly, not fast at all, especially on the. I have slow speeds on the peel off travel of the plate, but also for the rest of the travel of the plate, I'd never set very fast movements. I don't know if it's good or bad for the wear of the motor, for the mechanical wear of the machine, as they are cheap machines. I have the impression I save a bit of lifetime keeping a slow move. I'm not too sure, and I kept my settings such as for speed, as speed is not that much a concern for me. As I take the process, I usually have a bench session late at night, do my print while sleeping or while at work, and I have the feel I could shorten my machine life expectancy by going for two quick moves of the plate. Not too sure. If you have opinions, I'd be quite interested to see if I'm too careful with it or not. I'm not too sure, honestly. I'm happy to have opinions on that. So 1 hour 39. We've been almost 2 hours now on stream. I hope I've shown you guys the whole process of bringing a part from your laptop to your machine. I intentionally started from absolute zero with no strategy in mind. You see that along the drawing, I've been using the simplest tools that I could. You see that during the drawing, you have to keep thinking. If you can change your strategy, you have to keep watching what are your mistakes you need to reverse, go back and come back ahead and make your way this way. But you see that I hope you saw that with a few simple tools you can go to a part which will be quite decent. I hope you'll find it quite decent at last in your part, and you've seen a little bit the idea of what your choosing a printing strategy is. You see that when looking at your strategy, when setting your part, you can discover that you might need to separate your part, you might need to adapt your part to the printing strategy. You see what happened with the gauge. I have the feel that the 30 degrees angle would give better results, but there comes a problem with the gauge. Also, when setting a strategy, my suggestion will be not to be blocked and focused on one angle, on one strategy, and be curious. Challenge yourself. I don't. I often choose a tilted position on my parts because results, because also habit, and habit is not a good thing. So challenge yourself, choose other strategies, and expose yourself to happy accidents with it. You're not taking a lot of risks in cost of resin for such tiny parts. So go ahead, try new strategies, and in the end, you'll have spares. You'll have spares, and it's one of the big luxuries of 3D printing is you have spares. You can take risks with your parts. You can break your parts. You can break your parts. You can sometimes when a part is I feel difficult, I actually paint two of them, and in the end I choose the one I prefer. It's a lot of pressure you get rid of, because sometimes when you have bought an expensive aftermarket, you want to take care of your expensive part. You don't want to snap it. You don't want to lose it. If you happen to break it, either it's repairable or not. Here you have an open bar for your part. So take advantage of it. Choose different orientation strategies. Take risk with your part. It's a few cents of 30 or 40 euros resin bottle, which will be lasting a few months. So take advantage of it, and even more important, have fun with your part. Try to keep it simple, enjoyable, so that the day after you'll want to make another one. That's the main thing that will keep you working on your fusion and your printer and make progress. My suggestion wouldn't be to go too challenging at the beginning. You see that this bottle is actually just a profile which has been revolved, mirrored, and we took a little bit of fun with bolts and cylinders to create the connectors. But there's not been anything that complicated. And tomorrow I'm going to bring those to the printer, and hopefully tomorrow morning, Christmas time, I'll have it's the pleasure of the printer. Each morning is Christmas almost at home. You have new parts ready to be cleaned, and that's very, very enjoyable. And those parts are your parts. You've been designing them, sculpting them, whatever you prefer. You've been modeling them. These are your parts, and your model will be unique. You won't be recognizing let's say a Tomcat with a classical RS cockpit, which everyone knows, recognize, and these are your parts, and you'll be proud of it, and you can be proud of your work. And so I hope that if you feel like going into this journey or venture, go ahead. There's larger and larger community of 3D printers. There's of knowledge about printers, of modeling, I mean CAD modeling, the drawing or anything. You can contact me. There are many Facebook groups, such as the Scale Modeler Critic group, for instance, but which contains a lot of CAD modelers, but it's now spreading to other groups. So other groups have CAD drawers that will be happy to help you. Feel free to get in touch with them with a personal page. You can get in touch with me. If you're patient enough, I'm answering to anybody who's asking questions, or I'm not making your drawings, I'm not making custom prints, but I'll always help you if you ask for help. And it's the same for any 3D printer in the community. People are happy to share, so take advantage of it, and go ahead, guys, go ahead. You have a very cool part of the hobby growing up here, so jump in the train and go ahead. So I hope you found this video interesting. If you have any question, normally I'm still new with my YouTube thing. Normally you can get in touch with me via my YouTube page via the comments. they say he rings the bell, put the thumb, anything. You guys know YouTube, you know what to do better than me, I guess. Or get in touch with me on my Facebook page. No worries if you don't make the YouTube computing improve or anything. No worries. Get in touch with me with my Facebook page if you need, if you have questions or anything. And it's need custom or just so Oliver, is it needed to custom or upgrade the printer SM4K? I have actually the upgrade kit for my Sonic Mini 4K, and you know what? It's still in the box. It's still in the box. My prints have a nose here printed at not too sure if it was 0.2, if it was at 20 or 10 microns, and it's smooth. Honestly, I bought it, I don't know why. I am one of the lucky owners of Sonic Mini 4K, which performed extremely well. Some owners of the SM4K have had some issues with the main rod and wobble lines. I happen not to have issues, so as long as I don't have my 8K machine showing up, I'm not touching my 4K. It performs well. If your machine performs as you expect it to, don't touch it. Don't touch it. If you see some, especially the wobble lines, it's very easily recognizable. It's a sort of wave and regular pattern showing in on your part. Then it might be a good thing to consider. It might be useful, but if you don't see the symptoms, don't fight for and don't look for a cure. If your machine is performing well, you're a lucky guy, like I am. Those machines are quite cheap. The quality control is quite a gamble. It's been the same on the Photon I had from another brand, which is Anycubic. My Photon had a wobble issue, which I sorted by a twin rail upgrade. It worked fine, but I had a symptom. On my 4K at the moment, sometimes I wonder if I am not the only one to have a 4K which performs smoothly. We're quite a few ones, to be honest. Analyze your print. Check, for instance, a print of a conical shape. I'm thinking on my Photon, on my Anycubic Photon, I recognize a wobble pattern, especially when printing a Starfighter nose. The wobble showed up quite well, and then I knew there was a real issue. On my Sonic Mini 4K, honestly, I don't feel the need. At the moment, I don't feel the need. I even wonder why we are modelers, we want to upgrade things, we want the aftermarket things, and I bought the upgrade kit. It's not more than complicated than this, and honestly, I'm not putting it so far. Right, guys? So let's call it for a day for tonight. Again, any question, any comment, either via the YouTube panel, either via Facebook. If you need help to start up and to go into the printing, you can contact me. From me, you'll get all the help I can, but making your parts. I have a lot of people contacting me for making custom parts or anything. I won't be making your parts for you. I will be helping you to make your part yourself. That's the deal. And yes, you can reach me via Facebook or YouTube as you wish. So I hope the video has been useful, entertaining. I hope you enjoyed it. And next one will be probably at the bench when my wheel well will be done and ready to paint. We'll try to make a painting session on the bench, because I did just one, and then I want to improve the camera settings and everything, and have a bit of variation also. And so next time normally we'll be meeting on my bench. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, guys. See you very soon, I hope. I'll be shortly on holidays, so I hopefully have some good modeling time. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Olivier. Thank you, Jared. Thank you all. See you soon. Bye.